Shenhe's long-awaited rerun has finally come, and due to that, I decided to visit an old character we all know, and that is Kaeya. Kaeya, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated units in the game, and I'm going to show him off in a light that I think he deserves. If you guys do enjoy this video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and press those post notifications so you guys are always notified when I do upload. With today's video, Kaeya will be placed around multiple different teams, varying from different characters and different uses. I'm going to be placing Kaeya in a lot of Shenhe teams, but also going to be utilizing Chongyun. Using Chongyun allows me to enable him to use him in different ways, enabling me to utilize full effect of Mistsplitter, of course Cryo infusion, but due to Chongyun's constellations with C2, it allows me to have easier rotations. Keep in mind, Chongyun also does do a lot of burst damage. And of course, when pairing Kaeya with Chongyun in Freeze, we're also going to be pairing him with Shenhe. Shenhe is a very unique unit in the way she works. Shenhe only buffs Cryo damage. Shenhe takes her current attack, combined all together, and buffs all Cryo damage. And that is normal, charge, plunging, elemental skills, and elemental burst. And with her elemental burst, she also lowers Cryo resistance. With her two passives, it also just gives more buffing capabilities, giving crowd damage bonus, and with her second passive, depending on whether you hold or press her skill, it will give a certain buff. Now that I have Shenhe, I want to see how strong is Kaeya in a Freeze team. But there is one big problem with this entire team, and that is Freeze. In the Freeze team, I will be using with Kaeya, Chongyun, Shenhe, and probably either Kazuo as a flex slot, and then a Hydra character like Xingqiu or Kokomi or Mona. The problem is that Freeze has gotten a lot harder to use Freeze in Abyss. There's a lot of bosses now that really make Freeze feel terrible, that you honestly don't even need to bring Freeze characters. Freeze is still a powerful reaction, but it's no longer as good in recent Abyss changes as it once was. Now in this current Abyss, Freeze is very usable. The Hydro manifestations are very easy to clear with Freeze, and so is the Hydro Cube. And there are other enemies on this current Abyss floors that are freezable. But we are here to show off Kaeya in both Freeze teams and other teams that I have prepared. And we're also going to be using a Freeze Hyperbloom team known as Hyperfridge. Since Cryo and Dendro don't have a reaction, freezing doesn't actually interrupt any of the Hyperbloom. It just kind of slows it down. It also allows the enemies who are very aggressive, kind of like those beasts that we have in the current Abyss, since they are freeze resistance but they're not unfreezable, it allows me to essentially slow them down since they are so aggressive. Their attack patterns and overall is just very aggressive, and slowing them down anyway, or having a really strong healer or shield character, is what you really want when it comes down to fighting these beasts. Freeze Hyperbloom has been one of my favorite teams using Kaeya in. Now, not only is this team really good against these mobs, but it's overall just really good in a lot of situations. Utilizing this team with characters who are very easy to build, Xingqiu, even Dendro main character, and Kuki, all 4 stars basically, is overall just a really easy, simple, cheap team to build with very low investment, and against mobs that of course can be frozen. Next, we are going to be talking about Freeze. Freeze is a good team with a couple of problems, as I mentioned earlier. Freeze has a couple of problems where currently there's not a lot of good content to really play Freeze in. Freeze is solid in a lot of content, whether it's early in Abyss or late in Abyss. But when you're against a lot of the current bosses, they're not Freeze friendly. And even with not just the bosses, with mobs who constantly move, teleport, and want to get away from you and just make themselves not group, it makes Freeze feel just so much worse. Fortunately, when you have enemies who constantly move around, for example Ica Burst, when you miss an Ica Burst, it is the worst feeling in the world, and I think a lot of people can understand that. But I do like Freeze. Unfortunately, when you build any crowd character, you need a lot of investment. If you are willing to sacrifice a lot of your resin to build crowd characters, it's worth it because crowd characters are very useful. But do keep in mind, it's go all in or don't half-ass it. So my Kaeya is level 80, C6, and with 666 talents, bare minimum base talent levels. A lot of his value, unfortunately, was very heavily buffed. Now don't get me wrong, if I really wanted to maximize on Kaeya's damage, I would probably throw in a Bennett and use him on a melt team and stuff like that. But with freeze, unfortunately, there are better options than Kaeya. In my personal opinion, I think Kaeya's best teams are going to be in the Hyper Frisch team or Hyperbloom team that I showed earlier, or in a reverse melt, forward melt, whatever you want to call it, team. Kaeya does push out a lot of damage with heavily buffed characters, 5 stars, and overall very, very high investment with artifacts. He can complete content and relatively quickly. Unfortunately, if you want Kaeya to be really, really good in freeze, he takes a little bit too much investment for him to really pop off. Doesn't make him a bad character. Kaeya is still very, very good. If you guys are going to be playing him in freeze, I would probably recommend you guys to play him alongside another freeze character like Ganyu or Ayaka. And that is going to wrap it up for today's video. We dived into many different ways that you can utilize Kaeya with low investment and high investment. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you did, and press those post notifications so you guys are always notified when I do upload. I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, and I'll see y'all next time.